networks, or really 4 networks of dentists. We have the Delta Premier, the Delta PPO, the Delta DMO, which is an HMO product, and then we have the Legion dentists. So the network providers for this program is the Delta PPO and the Delta Legion dentists. Now, your dentist may be a premier dentist, which is still a PPO program, but the fees are just a little bit higher than the Delta PPO and Delta Legion. So the Delta Premier would be the next best dentist to seek out if you cannot find a Delta PPO or a Delta Legion dentist. So that concludes my my presentation. Are there any questions? Yes.
One currently has built the board.
And she'll present us information on Burial International Cemetery and burial benefits that are available, including graveside and any of the 131 national cemeteries with available spaces and openings and closings of the grave in perpetual care. The government headstone, a marker, burial flag, and presidential memorial certificates. Please welcome me.
Good morning. It's a privilege to be here with all of you. That saying, we all want to go to heaven, but we don't want to go today. And, it's very important to plan ahead, know what you want, know what's available. This is a benefit to you and your dependents. It's a national shrine, place of honor, and you deserve to be honored there for all time. So let me just proceed and talk about your benefit at a national cemetery. Abraham Lincoln National Cemetery, we opened in October of '99. We're a relatively new cemetery. There's 131 national cemeteries, actually I think 133. We're building some more in Florida and New York. You're eligible as a retired veteran to be buried in any national cemetery. So, it doesn't matter where you live. If you live in Illinois and you want to be buried in Hawaii, you're eligible for those national cemeteries. So we'll talk about that a little later. As I said, we opened in October of '99. We have 982 acres. We're in the Joliet Arsenal land that was developed back in 95. And we're going to be the second largest national cemetery in the United States. Many people ask me, well, what's the largest? They think maybe Arlington. Actually, Arlington is not. It's come to New York. So we have room for 400,000 burials at Abraham Lincoln. Currently, we have a little over 34,000 veterans and their dependents buried at Abraham Lincoln National Cemetery. We accommodate both casket and cremated remains. When the cemetery opened, we developed 150 acres currently. We just finished our phase 2 construction, and we currently have 170 acres developed. Back in '99, they projected that in 10 years we would fill up that first 150 acres, which we did, and we just developed another 20 acres. We added 11,000 casket and interment sites, 6,700 columbarium sites, and another 3,000 in-ground cremation sites. So we continue to develop. We won't be filled in any one of our lifetimes. So that National Cemetery is out there as a benefit to you, and you don't have to be in a hurry. We conduct our burials Monday through Friday between the hours of 9:30 and 2:30. And if you have any questions, feel free to call us at any time. The benefit that you're provided at a national cemetery is the opening and closing of the gravesite, perpetual care, a government headstone or marker, grave liner if it's a casket burial, and the Presidential Memorial Certificate. I have a copy of those at my table over there. There is a request. You can go online to request this. If you have a veteran buried in a private cemetery, determined schedule. We don't do pre-need at the National Cemetery. Our scheduling office in St. Louis is open 7 days a week. So all you need to do is present a copy of your discharge at the time of need, whether it be the veteran or the dependent. And they'll fax it over to our scheduling office. The funeral director or mortuary can do that for you. And they can schedule that burial. If you have a copy of your discharge, you can schedule a burial for the next day. I encourage everyone to stop and pick up a brochure. If you want to be buried in a national cemetery, take this brochure, put a copy of your discharge with the brochure with your important documents. That relieves so much stress on your family at the time of need. It's hard enough trying to decide what to do, but if your family knows this is where my loved one wanted to be buried, all they have to do is pick it up, take it to the mortuary, the funeral home. They'll make the arrangements. And again, if that discharge is an eligible document, DD 214, or if you're a World War II veteran, whatever that document is, they fax it to our scheduling office. It's instant eligibility and can be scheduled within 24 hours, the next day. So I've had families come in with their discharge to our office and say, I want to bury Dad tomorrow morning. We'll get that set up for you. Who's eligible? All members of the armed forces and veterans discharged under honorable conditions. Spouse or spouses of veterans. The widow or widower. Minor children under the age of 21. Or a child who is a full-time student up to the age of 23. Unmarried adult dependent children are eligible under certain circumstances. So if you have a child who is physically or mentally disabled before the age of 21, they are eligible to be buried with the veteran in the same grave site. We require a document from the physician stating the diagnosis of the disability, the degree of disability, and the age of onset. So if a child is born disabled, or a child is in an accident before the age of 21, or was a full-time student before the age of 23, and has never married, that child is eligible. Eligible spouses and dependents may be buried.
In regards to eligibility, I am a retired member of the National Guard. Guard retired me. Am I eligible?
Yes, you are.
I am eligible.
Yes, and I'm going to go over that.
Okay, thank you very much.
In the future, but yes, you are.
Who pays the cost of
That is a cost to the family. He asked who pays for the moving of a deceased eligible veteran or dependent from a private cemetery. The family does incur that cost. Once you enter the gates of the cemetery, there are no costs. So, and that can be expensive, I understand that. Cremains, there's really no expense to that. Okay, eligibility. Before September 7th, 1980, 24 hours of honorable service. So we've had veterans that were served one day. And because of they served before September 7th of 1980, they're eligible to be buried in the National Cemetery. And after that, September 7th of 1980, you had to have 24 consecutive months of active duty or your full tour of duty. Many of our reservists or National Guard got called to active duty during Iraq and Afghanistan. Maybe only served 9 months, but they served a full tour of duty on our eligible. And officers before October 16th of 81, 24 hours of honorable service, or after that, 24 consecutive months, or a full period. The way which that person was called to act. I have,
The 1980,
doesn't matter, you are retired.
I see, that's.
Yes. If you are retired, you are eligible for retirement pay.
I'm drawing the time.
You are eligible.
Now, you mentioned one of the things, sorry, you mentioned cremation. You do not do that, right?
No, we do not
It's
do
up to the
cremation.
individual.
That is up to the individual. And again, this is about to retire your reservist and National Guard. 20 years of qualifying service to be entitled for retirement pay. That gives you eligibility. If you were disabled or died from a disease or injury incurred or aggravated in the line of duty, died while hospitalized undergoing treatment at the expense of the United States for injury or disease contracted or incurred under honorable conditions while performing active duty for training or inactive duty training or undergoing such hospitalization treatment. And if you received veteran status as a result of being called to active duty by executive order, and that has to be on your discharge. And like I said, we have buried some of the reservists or National Guard that were called to active duty. It has to have that executive order, and that's what we need. And then again, I want to stress to you, I'm sure you understand this as retirees, that document is very important. When my son left the military, the first thing I did is I took that discharge and had it recorded at the county. It makes it so much easier for that family. You know, people have floods, they have fires, they move, things get lost. Anybody can go back to that recorder of deed and pull a copy of that discharge and retirement. Again, you're 8214, and if it was World War II, it's one of these other documents. If a family has lost a veteran or veteran's dependent and they don't have the discharge, the funeral home needs to call the 800 number for our scheduling office as soon as they get notified. They will send it to eligibility and do the research to find that discharge. You know, we might need 48 hours. In some cases, because of the Fire at the Record Management Center, it can extend that time frame. And I've seen that go anywhere from 72 hours to a couple of weeks. I did have a veteran's family who, again, like I just talked about, we would like to know the veteran's name, date of birth, possibly social security number. If you have the service number, that makes it easy. What branch of service they served in. They want to know where they entered the service. I mean, if you don't have all that information, that's fine. They're going to initiate that search. If it ends up being a fire record, I've never seen a veteran turned down for burial because it was a record that was burned in fire. We're going to do everything possible to make sure that veteran and their family are able to receive that veteran benefit. We have a memorial section in the National Cemetery. If you have your cremains scattered, or your body was donated to science, there's no body to bury, or if the veteran or the active duty person was lost in the war, they can be memorialized in this section. I think this is my favorite section in the entire cemetery. Had phenomenal stories of some of our active duty who were never returned. And a family member, I had a widow come in one day. She was 87 years old. She never had a gravesite to lay flowers for her husband, who was playing with them in World War II. She finally was able to lay flowers in his headstone. So this is a beautiful, beautiful area to commemorate the service that had been served for our country. And again, this is our scattering garden. We have a beautiful memorial pathway in the cemetery. If you've ever been out there or want to come out and take a ride, park behind the flagpole. Walk through that memorial section. There's some beautiful monuments. Pearl Harbor Monument was our first monument set out there. It's a very pretty area. They also is our scattering garden out there. And if your cremains are scattered, we will memorialize at this memorial section. Additional upright granite headstones. A lot of the national cemeteries have marble. Ours are granite. If you're buried cremation in ground or casket burial, the upright headstones. Just to kind of explain the grave liner. If a family wants to purchase a private liner, they're eligible to, they can do that and they're eligible for a reimbursement. I think this year it's about $200. They're just placed in ground side by side. We also have the columbarium wall, which is above ground inches. If a family decides they want their cremains to be placed above ground. And both of the dependents, the cremains of the veteran and the dependent can go on that site. If veteran spouses are both veterans, when the first veteran passes away, they're eligible for their own grave sites. So we need both discharges at the time of the first decedent. We reserve the grave site next to that first burial, so they're side by side. They're eligible for their own grave site and their own marker, niche cover, or headstone. If a veteran is buried with their spouse and their spouse is not a veteran, you'll see that spouse's information on the back of the headstone. Otherwise, their veteran information is always on the front. Sometimes veterans, we just buried a veteran spouse's last week, and the wife, even though she was eligible in her own right, she didn't want to be buried next to her husband. She wanted to be in that same grave site. So her veteran information, because she was the second decedent, is on the back of the headstone, but she does get her full military information on that marker. As you come into the cemetery, you're going to notice the alignment of the headstone. We have national shrine standards that we have to abide by. So those headstones have to be in alignment. We have to do masonry aligned all the time. This is a national shrine, and there will always be kept as a national shrine. So you'll see those upright headstones and the alignment of it, no matter where you see them. These are flat markers. We do have a garden niche area in this cemetery where we were burying when we first opened cremains in ground, and we were using flat markers. We don't use them anymore unless somebody actually requests to be buried in that area with a flat marker. Most people want the upright. And this is a picture of the columbariums. Again, those are above and columbarium ditches. Private cemetery markers. If a veteran is buried in a private cemetery, you can apply for a marker for that private cemetery. Depending on the cemetery, they'll designate which type of marker. Most of them are the flat markers. I think they're a bronze marker. There's also a medallion that you can apply for, one or the other, a headstone or a medallion. The medallions adhere to the private marker. You get different sizes, there's three different sizes, depending on that marker and the space you have available on that private cemetery. And again, this is about residential memorial certificate. Family is eligible to call or to apply online for these memorial certificates. That's the website. And this is our entryway. You'll see the flags. That's Memorial Day. And a veteran or a family member can donate their veteran's burial flag back to the cemetery. On Memorial Day weekend or certain holidays, Veterans Day, you're going to see the avenue of flags. That I think on Memorial Day we put up over 100 flags that line the avenue coming into the cemetery. It's beautiful. And if you ever have the chance to come out on Memorial Day, we have a beautiful ceremony on Memorial Day. And on the Friday before, volunteers come out and help us put up the gravesite flags. They come back on the Tuesday after and help us pick them up. Abraham Lincoln always comes to our Memorial Day ceremony. majority of them are our memorial squad. They present the military honors for veterans. Back in '99 when we opened, we were dependent on local VSOs, organizations to provide full military honors in the DOD, and they just weren't able to keep up. Veterans were getting the flag folding from the DOD, but they weren't getting the rifle volley and the life task. And we were able to develop a volunteer program, a memorial squad. They provide a beautiful ceremony, rifle volley, flag folding, and task for every veteran that comes into the cemetery. We are doing an average of 15 burials a day, but on Mondays and Fridays, we can have anywhere from 20 to 35 burials in that day. That means our honor guard are doing anywhere from 15 to 20 memorial services, military honors on that day, on a given day. And I can tell you, I talked to our squad leader yesterday for Friday. Many of them are like you, they're retired. They come out one day a week and they help with the military honors. All you have to do is be able to walk back and forth. You don't have to be a veteran. You can just be someone that wants to honor our veterans.
That's for President Commander. President Commander of the VFW Post 5696 has been quoted as saying, "It's key to understand that those who serve are an increasingly smaller percentage of the population in this country. In World War II, 11% of the population was in armed services, and over the past 10 years, it's been less than 10%, less than 1%, excuse me." He has worked with the Easter Seals campaign. He's completed the Army War College, and he will give us more information about here.
Good morning, everyone. I'm here to talk about home care, and the reason, while there are some VA benefits that in some instances can cover home care, I think it helps for everyone to have a little bit of an understanding of what home care is to begin with in advance of when you may need it. You probably don't need it now. Maybe your parents might soon be needing it. But this is just one of those things where nobody really knows what it is or what it consists of until they need it. And at that point, they're scrambling around to do the research and understand what it is, the various components, and how it works. In a nutshell, home care is having a caregiver come into your home to help you be able to function normally and stay within your home and do those things you do on a daily basis. Now, to put it in perspective, home health care from a broader standpoint, on the top there, those items that have the check mark on the left side, those are what is considered medical home care. Those are things like the nurses who may have to come into the home, or therapists, occupational therapists, speech therapists, physical therapists, things like that. Those services, those professionals, those medical professionals that may be recommended by a doctor after an injury or something, who need to come into your home to help you recover. Those types of services are typically covered by health care, health insurance, whether it's your regular health insurance, whether it's Medicare or what have you. The second half there, those services, those with the check mark in the right-hand column, those are what's called non-medical home care. Those, in essence, are what's referred to as assistance with the activities of daily living. Those simple things that are done around the house that make it difficult that can be difficult for a person who is recovering from an injury or simply is advancing in age. And so those are the things that my agency and our caregivers help people with. That second category, those non-medical aspects of home care. Who are we exactly? My agency is Griswold Home Care. We are actually the oldest franchise in the country, having started 30 years ago. It was actually founded by a woman named Jean Griswold. No relation to Clark Griswold. No connection there. But a couple of years ago, as the company was doing some studies about perhaps changing the name and doing a twist on home the way many of the other competitors have, we decided that there was just so much name recognition in Griswold, we just decided to stay with that. Now, my office in particular is out of LaGrange, and I'm serving the southwest suburbs, but there are a number of Griswold offices throughout the Chicagoland area, so wherever you are in the area, we've got an office that can service you. And understand also that we are licensed by both the Department of Health and the Department of Labor, and that our caregivers, those who do come into the home, they are bonded and insured against any accidents or mishaps that may occur in the home. Now, what exactly do we do? The caregivers that come into the home help people with those, as I said, ADLs, activities of daily living. So whether it's seniors or those just getting older, it's more challenging to do things around the house, or it may be people who have disabilities, they have always had, or somehow incurred something that made it difficult, or simply someone recovering from an injury. The services that the caregivers provide are actually in these 4 categories you see here. Personal care consists of those things such as bathing, grooming, hygiene, assistance with those types of things. Homemaking is perhaps helping out with the laundry, changing bed linens, fixing some meals, things like that around the house associated with the client, and just picking up after them, cleaning up after them. And there's also companionship. For many, especially many living alone, they just need someone there in the home periodically to give them a little of that mental interaction in order to stay sharp or prevent them from becoming depressed. That's something we see often enough as well. And the companion may even help with transportation, taking someone out of the house, taking them on errands, whether it's shopping, whether it's to the doctor appointments or what have you. So those are the types of things that the caregivers will do in the home. Now, having someone come into your home is something pretty substantial. For many people, it is traumatic, and rightly so. Because very often the client, the person who needs someone coming in, is in a vulnerable state, whether physically or even mentally. So we make sure that these caregivers are very carefully screened so that they are someone that can be entrusted to go into your home and keep you safe and not take advantage of the clients. So we conduct criminal background checks on all of them. We make sure that they've had TB tests recently. We actually give them quizzes to make sure how familiar they are with providing assistance around the home and how well educated they are. We do a behavioral interview. We do 4 reference checks. So at least 2 of those references that we talk to are either previous employers or previous clients, so that we have a good understanding of just how experienced this person is. But we also make sure that they have the training that's required by the Illinois Department of Health. That training covers a number of topics. It covers things like understanding, recognizing, preventing elder abuse, communicating with seniors, communicating with people who have challenges, whether disabilities, whether impairments such as Alzheimer's and dementia, and things like that. It covers how to keep someone safe in their home, how to minimize, how to prevent risks, how to prevent the transmission of disease. It even covers things like how to maintain and protect someone's privacy. Now, very often when people think of that they may need someone in their home, perhaps it's 1 or 2 activities that they may think of, but what we'll often then do then is present them with this list. It's kind of like a menu of services that after people start looking at this, and frankly, even showing this to physicians, they too, people don't always think about all the various different things that a caregiver can do for someone in their home. So it really helps to go through a list like that to give them a better understanding of, well, if I do have someone come in, well, there's actually more than one or two things that they actually can be doing around the house to help. Now, what does something like this cost? All right, these are the rates that go for someone coming into your home through our agency. We're looking at $17 an hour for an hourly basis. That's someone who comes in, whether it's a few hours a day, maybe just a few hours a week. You know, and frankly, in some instances, some people only need someone to come in one day. You know, family members may be the actual caregivers for the family member, for the parents, or what have you. There's a day they can't be out they're going to be out for vacation or something. They just need someone for one day, for 5 days, something like that. You know, service like that is available, but not everyone realizes you need somebody who will come in just for one day, and yes, that is available. In some cases, people need someone to actually live there in the home, but that makes more sense to have someone there 24 hours a day, because the client may even have some issues in the middle of the night potentially. So in that instance, we also have that service available with $150 a day. And those right there are the prices, and that is it, because there's no other fees associated other than those. So there's no placement fees, no deposit up front, because you're just paying for the service at the end of the week. There's no advance payment, nothing like that, and no termination fees. So should, for whatever reason, it be decided that, you know, caregiver service is no longer needed from this point forward, you know, service just stops then. And there's no obligation or no other cancellation fee or anything like that. The service is flexible such that when you're ready, service will start. You know, we set this up based upon a home visit, where myself, my wife would go into the home, assess the client, assess their needs, assess the surroundings, determine what types of things the caregiver actually needs to do. From that point, we've all got it set up and ready to go, such that when someone says, okay, I need a caregiver day after tomorrow to come in, we're ready to start the service. And however long it needs to go, fine. If after a day, after 6 months, or whatever, it's decided, well, for whatever reason, we don't need a caregiver any longer, we stop service there. And all you're obligated for is the service that has already taken place. And that's where the service then ends, based upon the client discretion. And likewise, caregivers can be changed based upon the client's discretion. You know, this is one of those things where someone coming into your home to take care of you, to take care of parents, it's very dependent upon chemistry. You know, is it the right person in there helping out? Because the right person makes all the difference. The right person can help the client either maintain a good lifestyle or improve. But it depends upon how well they get along with them, how they can help them and assist them doing those things that they need to be doing, whether it's typical things around the house, maybe it's the exercises and the range of motion activities, the little things that they need to be doing, but aren't always anxious to do anyway. So that chemistry is very important. So if the caregivers were not right, we just change the caregiver based upon the client's direction. And as I said before, there is no contractual term of service. So you're not signing on for a window of service for however long. It stops whenever you're ready for it to stop. Now, there are actually a various number of ways to pay for this kind of service. Most pay for it through private pay. There is also long-term care insurance for those who had some foresight and purchased one of those long-term care insurance policies. They can pay for this type of a service. There are some VA benefits available. Some of you may have heard of aid and attendance. That's actually in the category of among those pension benefits. So if you served at least one day of service, of active duty service during wartime, if you're over 65 years of age, if you have an honorable discharge, Those are the first set of requirements. Then they look at things like what is your income level and what are your assets. Income minus any medical expenses, those are deducted. And your assets are looked at minus things like your house, necessities like a house, like a car. So then based upon those things, aid and attendance from the VA may be an option. And if it looks like it is, the best thing to do is get with a service officer to get that paperwork started. And if you don't have one already identified, I've got several that we typically deal with, we can direct you with, that could definitely help someone go through that process of applying for aid and attendance. And we'll explain it thoroughly so that you understand what to expect in terms of how long it takes to apply, when the money kicks in, you know, the type of money you're talking about there. For a veteran couple, you'd be talking over $2,000. So it is something worth looking into. Other options for paying for this are asset conversions. For instance, if a person has a life insurance, and there are a lot of seniors who have life insurance policies, but they're willing to let them lapse simply because their children have pretty well got themselves taken care of. The senior figures, you know, I've got the house, I can pay for the burial, that's not a problem. Well, rather than let it lapse, that can be turned into a trust fund called a long-term care benefit account, which can then pay for home care, assisted living, nursing home care, something like that, while still even, if they desire, maintaining a portion of that for the death benefit. So that is definitely a worthwhile option for people to look into, rather than simply surrendering or giving up on making their insurance policy payments. Also, in some instances, there are public programs which would pay for a caregiver in your home. But for those, it depends, that really does look at how close the person is to the poverty level. So overall, from our standpoint at Griswold, we're really just concerned with getting the most professional caregivers to provide the highest quality care to people at the most affordable prices. So again, there is my contact information, my phone number to my office. You can feel free to call me at any time if you have any questions. And again, home care is one of those things that people hear a lot about it sometimes, or you're hearing variations on it, different stories. Feel free to just give me a call at any time and just ask me these simple questions, and I'd be more than happy to answer your questions. I don't know if we have any questions at this point, but if not, I'll be here for a few minutes. Thank you very much for your attention.
I have some personal experience in the situation of home health care that is occurring with a 92-year-old mother. You don't really know you need it until you need it, and then you don't know where to go. So that's part of the reason why Brett is here, to at least give you an idea of where you can go. And thank you very much for coming. We'd like to finish with your economic one, and hopefully we'll get all in. Bob Tracy, can you do your presentation in 2 minutes or less?
Sir, yes, sir.
Okay. Bob Tracy's going to give us some information on AUSA, and I'm going to count you out in 2 minutes.
Well, I'm a last-minute add-on, so I don't have a slide presentation or anything. Most of you in this room have probably heard of the Association of the United States Army. Many of you in here are members as well, and for that we appreciate it. The main reason I'm here is I'm new to AUSA, and I'm all fired up, and I just attended training, and there's a lot of reasons why you should join AUSA, but I'm going to key on the ones that I think are most important. There's group discounts for computer rental and car rental. Other organizations give you that too. That's nice, but it's not the primary reason. The primary reason we need to have as many people possible join AUSA is to have a united voice in Congress at the potential erosion of pay and benefits for soldiers and all uniformed service members, but we key on the Army. And you've all heard of the news, sequestration and other programs. the liberal agenda in the current administration. And if we don't stand up as a united voice and say, wait a minute, history teaches us this is not the direction we need to take to have a safe and secure country, things are probably going to happen that won't benefit us as a nation and as citizens in the long term. So there are few brochures left over there that I brought with me, and there's more that you can get on our website, which is shown in that brochure, www.ausa.com. So please get some information about it, consider joining, and there's always people around here that we can talk to get more information. So thank you for your service, and thank you for joining.
Over 90 seconds, you did real good.
No push-ups required.
No push-ups required. I'll run through these next slides, about 9 slides today. There's one thing I want you to be aware of. If you have gone to the Veterans Affairs website, there's an item on the Veterans Affairs website that is a 180-page pamphlet on all the benefits. Jack, if you go to the next slide, I'll show you the contents of that pamphlet. You can get the pamphlet at the Veterans Affairs website. If you don't want to go there, or if you use email, if you'll pick up my business card and send me an email, I have a copy of that electronically. I will send it to you electronically. But you can see there's an extensive list of items that they're covering there. It will still not answer all questions, but it gives you a whole lot more information. Next slide, please. We talked a little bit about Congress in terms of the number of people, actually just the number of people serving today. But in Congress, 1% of the population is served, but only 16 of our current senators have military service. Only 21% of Congress in total has military service. Not a lot of them know a whole lot about the military service. As a result of that, we have to educate our congressional representation. In addition, we also have to keep ourselves informed. Membership in military-type associations like AUSA, the VFW American Legion, or AMOA, and I list those only because those are the ones I'm a member of. You need to be a member of some of those types of things so you know what Congress is doing to you. They're doing things to you or potentially doing things to you that you may or may not be aware of. So you need to be aware of it. Those organizations will tell you more. And in fact, if you're a member, not a member of VFW, find the nearest VFW post because they will assist you with veterans benefits if you have a question that we have not answered today. Be involved in state and local elections, be involved in federal elections for sure. Read the literature that's available from USAA, and again, if you can't find the USAA information on benefits, send me an email and I'll get that pamphlet and mail it to you. And be sure you at least get all the information that you possibly can, get the answers that you can get, and we'll try our best to keep you informed of what's going on. Stay in touch. Stay in touch with your legislators. They are doing things or planning things or thinking about things that are going to impact you. And if you stay in touch with them, at least you can give them your view of how things are going to be or how things should be itself. I have them bookmarked on my computer. I communicate with them frequently. Sometimes they don't like the idea. Sometimes I get a response. Sometimes the response is in relationship to what I sent to them. But in my case, I'm staying in touch with my legislators to let them know how I feel about things that might be coming up. Vote in every election. Encourage others to vote. Share information with everybody else. Next one. The oldest living veteran gives you this kind of information about being a veteran. His view of around middle age is live stress-free. I haven't learned to do that yet. Smoke cigars. I will not do that. And whiskey in his coffee. I enjoy that. Those are the things that you might want to consider. You also live longer than he lived. I've forgotten his age. I think it was 109. Does anybody remember seeing it in the ROA magazine? I'm sorry, go to the next slide. Veterans are under attack. In the case of COLAs, the Senate, the legislature, more the Senate than the House, wants to actually reduce your COLAs. So you need to be telling your representative that they should not be reducing COLAs. There's VA disability claim delays, and they say that they're doing all they can do. They're not. Raise Cain with your legislators. There's costs being passed on to veterans. Right now, most of Congress understands the value of veterans, and they have beamed off any attempt to raise the price on TRICARE premiums as an example, or other costs associated with veterans. But you need to stay in touch with your legislators, make sure they don't. They're talking about reducing Medicare benefits. Tell them you don't want to reduce. There's some new benefits that are presently being considered, and those are just a few of them. Next slide. State benefits, there's some state benefits that you may not be aware of, and if you're not aware of them, go into your Veterans Association in the state and find out about things. These are things that are available to me in Texas. I don't know what's available in Illinois, but then go back in and look at Illinois. They're all the same. Go ahead, next slide then. Thank you all for your presentations. Thank you very much for your time. We know that taking time away from your family, we appreciate your efforts also. And that's our presentation. Do you have any specific questions that would be universal? If not, well, you go to questions